Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you all for coming out today. Today is March the 31st, and thank you for joining us. And baseball season is in the air, so let's play ball. Madam Clerk, will you please take the roll? I need everybody to check in, to log in. I'm sorry. I need to log in, too. And I got one more. We got everybody logged in. Madam Clerk, please take the roll. Oh, we got one more.
Mr. Chairman, you have 9 members present. You have a quorum.
We got. Okay, we got one locked out. We put you. Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, members. First of all, does anybody have any personal orders or anything before we get started? Anyone? I actually have one. I have a constituent here that's also a co-worker, and he drove down today to kind of be a shadow. So Trevor St. John. So if you all would welcome him here today. Okay, and do a little housekeeping to start off with. Item number 1, House Bill 1422 by Representative Moody has been taken off notice. So without objection, House Bill 1422 is off notice. Okay, and item number 2 is House Bill 1435 by Representative Gant. We got a motion, got a second. Representative Gant, you're properly before us, and we look forward to hearing about your bill.
Thank you, Chairman. This is for the city of Oakland, and it's to establish terms of office for mayor and aldermen begin upon officials swearing in on the first business day of the month. Designates 5 aldermanic positions and allows for a 6th position contingent on certain population metrics, provides for additional conditions for elected office there in their charter. So,
okay. This is not Oakland, California. This is Oakland, Tennessee. Okay.
No.
Yeah, we do have a resolution from your town, and so thank you for doing that. Do we have any questions for the sponsor? Anyone? If not, we're going to be voting on House Bill 1435. I'm sorry, we have a question. Chairman Doggett. Sorry, Chairman Doggett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Does this resolution prevent them from moving their baseball team to Las Vegas, or is this? It's just I just wondered about the Oakland Athletics, if they were going to be moving from the city of Oakland. I know they're in Sacramento now, but this doesn't have an effect on that.
No.
Okay.
No. Yes, and the Raiders have already moved.
They did.
Yeah. Okay, so any other questions for the sponsor? If not, we're going to, without objection, we're going to be voting on House Bill 1435. So all in favor, say aye. All against, say nay. On the board. And has everybody voted? Anyone wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, will you please take the vote?
Mr. Chairman, you have 10 ayes.
Okay. 10 ayes. House Bill 1435 passes, and you're off to state and local government. Thank you,
Chairman and committee.
Thank you. Okay, the next bill is House Bill 1429 by Representative Reedy. Representative Reedy, we got a motion and a second, and you're properly before, so please explain your bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members. This is, thank you. I'm going to say it's an interesting bill because of that. It's the city of New Johnsonville, and since I've been elected since 2014, this is a anti-nepotism bill, and making reference to that they have had some challenges since I've been in office in New Johnsonville with family members and favors and all of this. And I did not recommend this. I'll just put that out there publicly as a statement, but they had their lawyer draw it up and that they would like for us to consider it. And then, of course, it will go back to them for a 2/3 vote of the legislative body to determine if this is good for themselves or not.
Okay, well, thank you for that. And do we have any questions for the sponsor? And if not, I'm actually going to go out of session just for a moment to, I had a question for you about constitutionally I know about nepotism rules in companies and even in government, but I don't know about elected officials or whether or not that would be constitutionally suspect or not. So I'm going to go out and talk to legal and get his opinion. We're out of session.
Sure. So Mark Doby's Office of Legal Services. Good afternoon, everyone. So it's, what you would typically see when it comes to anti-nepotism laws, particularly as it relates to elected officials, is you'll see situations where the relatives may not per se be prevented from running, but what would occur is basically you don't want a situation where someone is benefiting on behalf of by virtue of their office. This is, I could see where it's a bit of an issue. The concern might be, of course, you're preventing somebody from running. So while there's nothing in state law, there is something in federal law which sort of addresses sort of what I was akin to. It's 5 U.S.C. 3110. So it prohibits federal officials from appointing, promoting, or recommending for appointment any relative. So that's more of the concern of what you see when it comes to anti-nepotism laws. All of that to basically say this is not probably, I'm sure other states maybe have attempted this. It could limit certainly the pool of people who are electable and could run for office. So from that concern, I could, that's what the law states.
Thank you. I guess my question is then, legally, I mean, if someone is running, because I come from a small town too, and sometimes you end up with this happening, but if you're preventing someone that's qualified and that has filed the correct paperwork and everything from running, is that what we're running into in this particular bill?
Sure. Yes, sir. So, Mark Doby's Office of Legal Services. So, in Tennessee code, it's 818, section 1. They have qualifications laid out for that. In essence, I don't think there's anything that says you can prevent this, that it's per se unconstitutional. But it's already sort of laid out in code as to what the qualifications are. So yeah, it would certainly limit the pool.
Okay. And I guess my other question is the definition of a relative. And so would that fall under immediate family member, or how would that be defined?
Sure. So that I believe is in the bill itself. Let me see. Let me pull that up. Just one moment, please. Okay. So the bill states, for the purpose of the subsection, it prohibits immediate relatives, which includes spouses, parents, children, siblings, stepchildren, step-parent, grandparents, grandchildren, mother-in-law, father-in-law, sister-in-law, and/or brother-in-law.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And we have a question. Did you want to represent by Representative Capley while we're out of? Did you want to talk while we're to legal? Or
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we're going to Representative Capley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To legal, I guess my question is, if I'm the city mayor of New Johnsonville and my population is less than 2,000 and my father-in-law runs for city council, what happens there if this goes through?
Sure. So Mark Doby's Office of Legal Services. So what the way that the text says it says no individual shall be considered for any elected position if he or she is an immediate relative to another elected official. So it would wholesale prohibit that election from taking place.
Okay. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you. Legal.
Okay.
Thank you.
Chairman Doggett, you're next on the.
Will you go to Representative Davis and then come back to me, if you don't mind?
Sure. Okay. Representative Hemmer was first, and then Representative Davis. He's letting you go first. I'm confused.
Thank you for the deference. I appreciate that, gentlemen. My question has to do with where it says any elected official. So does that include not only local, but also state and federal as well?
Sure, that's a good question. I believe it would only pertain to the locality. That said, it may extend into state elected officials. I believe it would only be in the locality. That might be something I'd have to look up in the charter to give you a definitive answer on.
Well, that's kind of my concern because especially if you do have, some of the smaller cities that you are kind of restricted in your population size, then that limits who can and cannot run for office. in Knox County, we have a charter and we passed nepotism, in our charter, but we put it to the people. We put it to the vote. And so that's the other concern I have with regard to this, is that this is just based upon 2/3 of the passage by the commission, correct? Not the citizens have an opportunity to vote on it?
That's correct. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's another concern I have.
Thank you. And then Chairman Doggett, you're next. To
Thank
legal.
Thank you. And she touched on what I was going to look at is perhaps if I was a county commissioner and my wife was to run for city alderman or something of that nature in that town, or but she reached on that. The other one I would ask is, and I know I just wanted to make it clear, if I run for elected office, but perhaps my spouse, brother, someone like that was maybe the city recorder or the city manager, which is an appointed position, would that exclude me from that?
Yeah, Chairman, I think it only in this situation applies to elected positions. And then it only covers immediate family members.
Thank you.
Chairman Doggett, do you have a follow-up? Yes. You good?
Good. Thank
Okay.
you.
Representative Hemmer?
Thank you. Question for legal. I know, I guess first thing is, normally when we get bills here, we get sent a letter from the mayor or some kind of resolution from the council. Has that been done?
Yes.
Yes, sir. It has.
Which was it?
The resolution?
It was a resolution.
It's a
passed by the full
resolution, yes.
council?
We have.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Gotcha.
Sorry, I'm
Okay.
sorry. I forgot to mention that earlier when we started. Okay.
Okay.
We do have a resolution though.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions for legal while we're out of session? Representative Hemmer?
Sorry, I'm trying to get your attention. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I know, Mark, you kind of touched on this, but on the constitutional kind of issue on it, but just to be clear, is there constitutional concerns with this?
Mark Dobie's Office of Legal Services. I think that there is potentially, yes. When it comes to restricting who can run, there isn't a constitutional right to run for office, but it's not necessarily per se. What it is more is basically in the Tennessee Constitution, and you've also got in state code qualifications for what it takes to run. That's not restricted. Nothing in this local bill is conflicts with that per se. But when you start to restrict the number of people who can run for office, there could be a question. That's more of a question for what a court would say whether or not that was permissible.
All right. Thank you. And just to follow up to, this does not have statewide application because it's a private act. So it's only pertaining to this one municipality.
That's correct, sir.
Okay. Just want to make that clear that, so it would only be to New Johnsonville, right? New Johnsonville, sorry. So it would only be pertaining to them. Okay, any other questions for legal while we're out of session? If not, we're going to go back in session. Now, do we have any questions for the sponsor? We do. Representative Davis.
So thank you, Mr. Sponsor. My question has to do with how many people serve on council, or how many elected officials are there? Because I looked at the population size of New Johnsonville, and it said in 2023 there was a little over 1,800 people, 1,806.
To answer your question, I am not sure how many serves on that. I would say the resolution, because it was passed, let's see what it says. And it doesn't give me a number of the majority who passed it either. I can't answer that question. Sorry.
Well, I'm sorry. I should have asked you that prior to, but regardless, I'm sorry. I don't think I'm going to be in favor of this piece of legislation. Thank you.
I'll send it back to the drawing board, but it's up to the will of this body. I thank you.
All right, thank you. And Chairman Doggett, you have?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What's the population in New Johnsonville?
It was just stated 1,800.
1,800, okay. That's decent size, small town, I would think. Thank you.
Okay, and Representative Hemmer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Normally I typically give a lot of latitude on these private acts from local communities when they come up here. The constitutional concerns have one thing, but also, I know we as elected officials bring our own experiences on here. And, I thought it was interesting. It was talked about, the various lists of relatives and brother-in-law was one. And, I happened to serve with my brother-in-law, and I was thinking in my situation, I was actually born in this county, live in a different area, have a different name. Whereas my brother-in-law moved into this county later in life and has a different constituency, different area, totally different issues and that we focus on. And so I think about that in this legislation and think how that could potentially put some unfair items in for some people running that could be qualified for these seats. I know they're hard, especially small towns, 1,800 people, hard to get folks to even step up and run for some of these things. But creating these additional barriers could probably put some undue burdens on this. So it's not something I don't think I'd support.
All right, thank you. Yeah, we have trouble, like in my area too, with even getting people run for school board and things like that. So a lot of times we don't have, but we're going to go back to the sponsor. And would you have any
Representative
response?
Hemmer, I apologize for your family situation.
Get that a lot.
Yes, and are you working under an alias right now? I heard you say a different name. Okay, Chairman Doggett. I'm sorry, Chairman Hogg first.
No, it's already been alluded to. I was going to see if we could amend this to ensure that we get the better brother-in-law in this.
Question on the bill. Yeah.
Representative Hammer, I think. Thank you, Chairman.
All right, and now Chairman Doggett.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Do you know, was there a situation that may have arose in this town to where they were, and if you can't say, I completely understand, but
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't believe it is my position to bring light upon one of my cities. And it's all worked out, but there's still that animosity that is still there from previous relationships. And, it was wasted taxpayer dollars. So it's.
Chairman Doggett.
well, thank you. And I'm sure that the city has been in consultation with MTAS and they've tried to work through a lot of that. And I'll say that whatever happens, I believe, if I'm correct, Mr. Chairman, you may correct me, with the vote of the committee, it's not an up or down vote. It is just an affirmative or negative recommendation moving forward, and it will actually be heard. The bill will be heard in the next committee. Is that correct?
That's correct. It'll go to state and local.
Right.
after
Yes, sir.
this.
So I'm sure a lot of those things can be hashed out between then and there, but yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Chairman Reed, you have the question. Okay.
Question on the bill.
Representative Stevens.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to support your bill for your community there. Nepotism is a big problem. However, I would suggest amending that to say any elected official in the city of New Johnsonville and not just leave it open for any elected official anywhere.
Okay.
Okay. And any other questions? Okay. If none, we're ready to vote on House Bill 1429. So please open the board, and it is open. And all in favor say aye, or you don't have to say anything, or just push the button, and all against push no. And has anyone wish to change their vote? Okay, Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 5 ayes, 4 noes, and 1 present not voting.
Okay, House Bill, 1429 passes and moves on to House, State, and Local Government Committee. Might want to work on a couple of things before we
Tweak
get
it
there,
up.
but we
Thank you,
appreciate it.
Chairman of the
Okay,
committee.
thank you. Okay, before we close, do any of the members have any announcements or any personal orders before we take off? Anyone? Do I have a motion to adjourn? Got a couple. We're adjourned. Thank you all for coming out today.